Om Namo Narayanaya. Welcome back. We're reading through chapter 7, The Son of Drona Punished. I started this in the previous video, didn't get that far before an idea came to me and I ranted. So we're starting today with verse 12. Before I go into this, I want to apologize. My Sanskrit pronunciation is pretty bad. This book actually gives some nice transliteration, but I haven't heard most of the names I'm going to be reading, so that's kind of how I've learned a lot of Sanskrit, is just by hearing it. My pronunciation's off for a lot of things. I've been told that I have this weird accent. You'd never know I was from Portland, Maine, or New England. It's rather weird, and I've had this all my life and traveling around, so please excuse me. Please excuse me. Here we go. Sutaka Swami thus addressed the rishis, headed by Shanaka. Now I shall begin the transcendental narration of the Sri Krishna and topics of the birth, activities, and deliverance of King Parishit, the sage among kings, as well as topics of the renunciation of the worldly order by the sons of Pandu. When the respective warriors of both camps, namely the Kauravas and the Pandavas, were killed on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and the dead warriors obtained their deserved destinations, and when the son of Dhritarashtra fell down lamenting, his spine broken, being beaten by the club of Bhimasena, the son of Dronakarya, beheaded the 5 sleeping sons of Draupadi, and delivered the heads as a prize to his master, foolishly thinking that he would be pleased. Duryodhana, however, disapproved of the heinous act, and he was not pleased in the least. Draupadi, the mother of the 5 children of the Pandavas, after hearing of the massacre of her sons, began to cry in distress with eyes full of tears. Trying to pacify her in her great loss, Arjuna spoke to her thus: O gentle lady, when I present you with the head of the Brahmana, after beheading him with arrows from my Gandiva bow, I shall then wipe the tears from your eyes and pacify you. Then, after burning your sons' bodies, you can take your bath standing on his head. Arjuna, who was guided by the infallible Lord as friend and driver, thus satisfied the dear lady by such statements. Then he dressed in armor and armed himself with furious weapons, and getting into his chariot, he set out to follow Ashvatthama, the son of his martial teacher. Ashvatthama, the murderer of the princes, seeing from a great distance Arjuna coming at him with great speed, fled in his chariot, panic-stricken, just to save his life, as Brahma fled in fear from Shiva. When the son of the Brahmana, Ashvatthama, saw the horses were tired, he considered there was no alternative for protection outside of using the ultimate weapon, the Brahmastra. Since his life was in danger, he touched water in sanctity, and concentrating upon chanting the hymns for throwing this weapon, although he did not know how to withdraw such weapons. Thereupon a glaring light spread in all directions. It was so fierce that Arjuna thought his own life in danger, and so he began to address Sri Krishna. Arjuna said, "Oh, my Sri Krishna, you are the almighty personality of Godhead. There is no limit to your different energies. Therefore, only you are competent to instill fearlessness in the hearts of your devotees. Everyone in the flames of material miseries can find the path of liberation in you only. You are the original personality of Godhead, who expands himself all over the creations and is transcendental to material energy. You have cast away the effects of the material energy by dint of your spiritual potency. You are always situated in eternal bliss and transcendental knowledge. And yet, though you are beyond the purview of the material energy, you execute the 4 principles of liberation characterized by religion, and so on, for the ultimate good of the conditioned souls. Thus, you descend as an incarnation to remove the burden of the world and to benefit your friends, especially those who are your exclusive devotees and are constantly wrapped in meditation upon you. O Lord of Lords, How is it that this dangerous effulgence is spreading all around? Where does it come from? I do not understand. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Know from me that this is the act of the son of Drona. He has thrown the hymns of the Brahmastra, and he does not know how to retract the glare. He has helplessly done this, being afraid of imminent death. Oh, Arjuna, only another Brahmastra can counteract this weapon. Since you are expert in the military sciences, subdue this weapon's glare with the power of your own weapon." Sri Suta Goswami said, hearing this from Lord Vishnu, Arjuna touched water for purification, and after circumambulating Sri Krishna, he cast his Brahmastra weapon to counteract the other one. When the rays of the two Brahmastras combined, a great circle of fire, like the disk of the sun, covered all outer space and the whole firmament of planets. All the population of the three worlds was scorched by the combined heat of the weapons. Everyone was reminded of the Samvartaka fire which takes place in the time of annihilation. Thus, seeing the disturbance of the great populace and the imminent destruction of the planets, Arjuna at once retracted both Brahmastra weapons as Krishna desired. Arjuna, his eyes blazing in anger like two red balls of copper, dexterously arrested the son of Gautami and bound him with ropes like an animal. After binding Ashvatthama, Arjuna wanted to take him to the military camp. Lord Vishnu, Sri Krishna, looking on with his lotus eyes, spoke to Arjuna in an angry mood. Sri Krishna said, "Oh, Arjuna, you should not show mercy by releasing this relative of a Brahmana, for he has killed innocent boys in their sleep. A person who knows the principles of religion does not kill an enemy who is careless, intoxicated, insane, asleep, afraid, or devoid of his chariot. Nor does he kill a boy, a woman, a foolish creature, or a surrendered soul. A cruel and wretched person who maintains his existence at the cost of others' lives deserves to be killed for his own well-being. Otherwise, he will go down by his own actions. Furthermore, I have personally heard you promise Draupadi that you would bring forth the head of the killer of her sons. This man is an assassin and murderer of your own family members. Not only that, but he has also dissatisfied his master. He is but the burnt remnants of his family. Kill him immediately." Suta Goswami said, although Krishna, who was examining Arjuna in religion, encouraged Arjuna to kill the son of Dronakara, Arjuna, a great soul, did not like the idea of killing him, although Ashvatthama was a heinous murderer of Arjuna's family members. After reaching his own camp, Arjuna, along with his dear friend and charioteer, Sri Krishna, entrusted the murderer unto his dear wife, who was lamenting for her murdered sons. Draupadi then saw Ashvatthama, who was bound with ropes like an animal, and silent for having enacted the most inglorious murder. Due to her female nature, and due to her being naturally good and well-behaved, she showed him due respects as a Brahmana. She could not tolerate Ashvatthama's being bound by ropes, and being a devoted lady, she said, release him, for he is a Brahmana, our spiritual master. It was by Dronakara's mercy that you learned the military art of throwing arrows and the confidential art of controlling weapons. He is certainly still existing, being represented by his son. His wife, Kripti, did not undergo a sati with him because she had a son. Oh, most fortunate one who knows the principles of religion, it is not good for you to cause grief to glorious family members who are always respectable and worshipful. My lord, do not make the wife of Dronakara cry like me. I am aggrieved for the death of my sons. She did not cry constantly like me. She need not cry constantly like me. If the kingly administrative order, being unrestricted in sense control, offends the Brahmana order and enrages them, then the fire of the rage burns up the whole body of the royal family and brings grief upon them all. Suta Goswami said, O Brahmanas, King Yudhishthira fully supported the statements of the queen, which were in accordance with the principles of religion and were justified, glorious, full of mercy and equity, and without duplicity. Nakula and Sahadeva, the younger brothers of the king, and also Satyaki, Arjuna, Lord Vishnu, Lord Sri Krishna, Sena Devaki, and the ladies and others all unanimously agreed with the king. Bhima, however, angrily disagreed with them and recommended killing this culprit, who had murdered children for no purpose, and for neither his nor his master's interest. Katapurja, the four-armed one, or Lord Vishnu that is, after hearing the words of Bhima, Draupadi, and others, saw the face of his dear friend Arjuna, and he began to speak, as if smiling. Lord Krishna said, "A friend of a Brahmana is not to be killed, but if he is an aggressor, he must be killed. All these rulings are in the scriptures, and you should act accordingly. You have to fulfill your promise to your wife, and you must also act to the satisfaction of Bhimasena and me." Sutta Goswami said, just then Arjuna could understand the motive of the Lord by his equivocal orders, and thus with his sword he severed both hair and jewel from the head of Asvatthama. Asvatthama had already lost his bodily luster due to infanticide, and now, moreover, having lost the jewel from his head, he lost even more strength. Thus he was unbound and driven out of the camp. Cutting the hair from his head, depriving of his wife wealth, and driving him from his residence are the prescribed punishments for the relative of a Brahmana. There is no injunction for killing the body. Thereafter the sons of Pandu and Draupadi, overwhelmed with grief, performed the proper rituals for the dead bodies of their relatives. It was a very violent chapter that obviously takes place after the Bhagavad Gita and the Mahabharata. As I was reading that, it's interesting. I always hear people criticize Hinduism. Oh, well, Krishna kills people, and Kali kills people, and Durga, they're so mean. These guys are so mean. They're not like Jesus, who just loved people. That's what I hear all the time. And yes, if you read that, obviously Lord Krishna has said, kill the bastard. But that's really not where he's going. And the key is later in the end, he's like, look, you have to, you should act accordingly. He must be killed. He is the aggressor. This is the ruling in the scripture. You have to fulfill your promise to your wife also. But you must also act to the satisfaction of Bhimasena and myself. It's not a matter that Krishna is saying, just kill him. He is. But he's not demanding it of Arjuna. Like, you have to do this. No, he's actually kind of giving Arjuna the choice of, you figure out what you need to do. And then he's also saying, but it's not that easy because I'm not the only one you need to be listening to. There's a book. There's society. There's this. There's that. So it's not just... So he's really testing him. Yes, he's saying kill him, but he's actually giving him, this range of, well, don't kill him, to then kill him, to what should you do? And Arjuna comes at the end and he goes, no, it's not right. This isn't what we do in our society. There's other ways of punishing him. And one assumes that, this guy's life just didn't go anywhere after that. Or he lived in misery or something. But it is really interesting because, yes, Krishna's mean and these gods are mean. But are they? When you read the bigger picture, is that really what's being said here? That Krishna is just a murderous beast? That's not what's being said. I find that really interesting. Context matters. Context is something that is often lost. People quote things day and night, but the context is very important. And thinking through this, this is all thinking through this. There was, I should mention, the Brahmastra. I have no idea what that is. It might be something worth Googling, or put a link down below to it. So, anyways, I was saying that the weapon in this is actually listed as a nuclear weapon, and the description is of nuclear power. I don't know if you have a link down below. Put that in of what this weapon is or what people think it is. Anyway, sorry about the interruption. I do these videos completely through, and my girlfriend just slammed through the door to get the keys for the car, because basically there was no one showing up at work to do the deliveries for the bakery she works at. And, she might be out for like 3 or 4 hours doing deliveries on her days, so yeah, that's no deliveries, no food. My apologies. I try to do these unedited in just one take, but sorry about that. Once in a while it happens. Alright. Thanks for hanging with me. Comments, questions, and all that good stuff down below. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.